friends, welcome to the Energy Independence Show. I'm Les Mood, your host, where we cover product reviews, interviews, and hot news. Today we have Carter Lavin. He's the Director of Membership for the California Solar and Storage Association. We're happy to have you on the show. Carter, welcome.
Great to be on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us, question number one, a little bit about yourself and what motivates you in the energy industry?
Sure. So I've been working in solar basically since I was 17. One of the last jobs I had outside the solar industry, I was shoveling popcorn at a movie theater. Very early on, my father said something very smart to me, which I realized could be an insult upon reflection. He said, "There's always going to be someone who works harder than you, always someone smarter than you, but people are really bad at focus. So pick a thing, dedicate yourself to it, and you're going to go really far." And so at 17, I went to, I think it was Solar Power International when it was in DC, and it's like, I think there's a lot of big problems in the world, and where we get our electricity is something that is a very solvable problem, and it's something that is, every day, every solar array that goes up is a little part of that problem that's solved. There's never a part where someone says, "Oh, I wish I didn't do it," or there's never like, secretly solar is bad, that so many other ways of doing good. Occasionally you have that moment of reflection and kind of regret. And so I've been working in solar for 14 years all because of that.
Wow, so you're an OG in the business. That's awesome. You started young and you're an OG. I like it. So question two is, can you tell us about the California Solar and Storage Association and your role there?
Yeah, so the California Solar and Storage Association, CALSSA, is basically the voice of the California solar industry. So we've been around for over 40 years. We used to be called CALSSA. For some folks that might ring some more bells. We have over 560 members. These are companies everywhere from small installer, two guys in a truck, person who just got started out recently, all the way up to some of the largest names in this industry. Our role is to be the voice of the industry in Sacramento at the Energy Commission. So working on all the big policy fights to help make sure that the California solar market can stay strong on the behind the meter scale. It's a big part of the reason why there's a lot of great work happening in California, and we're all under one big federal government. But the California market and the Texas solar market, very different markets, and a big part is the work that CALSSA's put in over the year. My role is membership, so my job is to basically find everyone out in this industry and say, "Hey, there's a big fight going on. We have a ton of resources. Get plugged in." Or find the people who are like really struggling with, a building department issue, and it's two people running the installation firm. They're really overworked, and they just need help. They don't have time to become policy experts. They don't have time to, weigh in and dig their heels in and fight back against the building department. So for them to get plugged into us and just like have that host of resources, which is a big part of my job, is just like trying to bring us all together.
Right. Well, that's excellent. I think we'll be talking with you guys about what you can do with us, and certainly I encourage everybody else to. Question three is how or has CALSSA been transitioning to more online activity post-COVID?
Yeah, so we all now work from home. This is my home in Oakland, California. We used to have a big office, or we had headquarters in Sacramento and office in Oakland. So that's a big change. The other part is, in 2019, we hosted 31 networking events throughout the course of the year. So that's anything from, 25 solar installers in Fresno getting together for, pizza and beer and chatting about what's going on with batteries, to, the big golf tournament. That's not really happening. And so we've done, like yesterday, we did a Zoom call of a networking meeting, like kind of a policy overview. We've been doing a lot more of these of like our policy team kind of give a rundown, and we'll have 60 people tune in, and something that's free to members, and having that. We're still working on how to make sure you have the small group chats, the part where you're waiting in line for the slice of pizza behind the person. You say, "Oh, where you're from?" You have those like kind of small serendipitous conversations that really make a huge value. We're trying to bottle that lightning. But we've been moving to those resources, as well as doing just a ton of webinars. When COVID first struck, we hosted, I think, 5 webinars in the course of 3 weeks, just saying, "Here's what's happening. Your building department might be shutting down. Here's what we're doing to open it up. We think you're essential. We think you're essential. If someone says you're not essential, here's what to say to them. Like, here's just, running down the list of stuff. So that's been keeping us pretty busy.
Right. Well, I could see how you could be a huge help to people adjusting, especially as building departments switch to online applications, and they have their own challenges, as well as energy storage is a great opportunity to educate and work with contractors and stakeholders in the industry. Question number 4 is, have you seen an increase in interest for resiliency and energy storage lately?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have this dashboard in the members only section, this SGIP, the Storage Rebate Program dashboard that Michael Bishop, a volunteer, put together, and where you can track just where projects are going, and it's just, everything is up and to the right. And it's interesting seeing places like Santa Rosa, which, last year, 2 years ago, didn't have a ton of batteries. This month, the city of Santa Rosa installed more batteries than any place else in California.
Wow.
A big part is, the fire season's coming. Yes, we have the COVID pandemic. Yes, we're in a recession. That's not going to stop fire season. That's not going to stop the utilities from shutting down your power. We're all going to be working from home, and the power is going to go off, depending on what part of the state you're in. And so people are now, I think, starting to invest more in their homes, invest more in themselves, and there's the storage rebate program, the SGIP, which we got the law passed to add $800 million to that program. And I think now a lot more installers have kind of figured out how to message around that, how to, find the people who have a well and live in the fire zones and all that kind of stuff. So we've definitely been seeing a lot more uptick there.
Right. Well, that's excellent to hear. Certainly you want to be prepared. Being prepared is cool these days. And it's exciting to see that people are interested in keeping the lights on. Obviously, independence is key to keeping your lifestyle going. Question 5 is, who can benefit from a membership at CALSSA?
Well, so as the membership director, this is the part where I say, everyone benefits. You can benefit.
Right.
But it's so half our members are installers, and so we have the big folks, the Vivins, the Teslas, the Sunruns, people whose names you may have worked for them at some point, you may have spun off from them and made your own company, to people who've literally just got their license and they're saying, okay, I got my license, I have 10 friends who want solar. What? What's all this paperwork? So we're able to help them out as well. A lot of service providers, we have a ton of members. So anyone who says, we have this great product, we'd love every installer in California to know about it. Our job is to talk to every installer in California. So, coming to those Zoom meetings, being part of that's a big thing. We recently have been getting a lot more members who are also startup manufacturers. So, the module manufacturers, the inverter companies, Hanwha, Fronius, Electra, these great leaders have been members of ours for a long time. There's not a lot of startup module manufacturers, but there are a lot of people who have, new smart electric panels, things like that, who have been joining up because they say, look, I made a great product. I just want everyone to know about it really quickly. I don't have time to do this huge, big marketing campaign. I'm going to just make sure I go to where they're going, which is the CALSSA, to talk about what's happening with the storage rebate. So, if you're doing business in California, if you miss the California solar market, you should join up.
Absolutely. Well, I owe thanks to JD Dillon over there at Enphase and the leadership there for recommending you. I know, the challenge of new technology is certainly something that we can overcome together, and we appreciate everything you guys are doing over there. Where can they find you at?
So our website's calssa.org. So it's CALSSA.org. And the phone number that you find on the website, the 916, goes directly to my cell phone. Used to go to an office line, but we had to route it. And so looking forward to chatting with you, who's ever listening in, and going through your questions and talking with you.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Question 6 is, what are some examples of efforts CALSSA has been a part of?
Yeah, so one of the big ones recently is there's a big effort to get solar, the ITC, the investment tax credit extension, part of what's going on with the next COVID bailout package. This is something we've worked with our federal counterpart, federal SIA, basically about getting a bunch of our members onto calls with congressional people to say, like, hey, look, I'm a solar installer in San Diego. Here's my life post-COVID. Getting rid of the ITC or having that drop down now would be a pretty terrible thing. It's really important helping elected officials realize that, people are real. That's not just some statistic. It's not just X number of jobs lost or 90 jobs furloughed. It's less. What's going on with less? What's happening in your life? So that's one of the big things. The other thing has been lots of work on the storage rebate program, the SGIP. A lot of people who are listening in or watching who may have had some issues with the storage rebate program, the checks taking a while. You fill out the application, you wait 8 months, a year. We've now gotten that. It's going to be announced very soon, so look out in the member newsletter. That's only going to be 60 days before they have to send out the check. There's asterisks and some caveats there, but speeding that up as well as simplifying the application process so that you don't have to have a PhD in quantum mechanics to actually apply for the rebate program would be nice. And then there's always lots of things on the codes and standards side of like, where could you put the battery in a home? And some jurisdictions are starting to cause grief around that. And we're pretty heavily involved in that too.
Right. Well, that's excellent. Certainly, we all could use some help and some advice and best practices. On question number 7, what are some of the incentives available in California for consumers and businesses?
Yeah, I mean the big thing is the storage rebate program, the SGIP. That can be, depending on where you are, it's 15 or 20 cents for a rebate per kilowatt hour, and that's or per kilowatt, and that's a pretty substantial amount. And if you're in a fire zone, there's extra amounts, and if you're in a fire zone, you have certain other characteristics. It's an even higher amount. And this is things like if you're in a fire zone, you're in a well. If you're basically, the idea is if PG&E is about to shut off your power, how terrible is your life about to be? If it gets to be a certain threshold of really awful, let's get you a battery. Let's make that, the state of California wants to make that as easy as possible. And that works for both residential and commercial. And it also doesn't have to have a solar element to it. Although the vast majority of batteries that do get installed have a battery or have a solar array with it.
Question number 8, Carter, is would you say the economics behind energy storage play out well for consumers?
Yeah, I think for residential, also commercial consumers, it works out. I think for a lot of the salespeople, what you're encountering is in the home market, there's always people who want to be first. There's always people who want to be cooler and better than their neighbor and show them off. And, they have that image of like, it's 110 degrees, the utility shut off my power, my air conditioning is running, so what's up? And it's, for them, they put a much greater value on power. That's not just dollars a kilowatt hour. They have a much stronger emotional thing. For businesses, what we're seeing is markets starting to open up. There's still very much more hesitancy in the commercial sector. If you are any sort of factory or something like that, you don't know someone else who has a battery. You might be able to know someone who knows someone. And so even if the economics work out from a demand charge reduction, from the billing, power management from the battery, it's still something that you're not saying, oh yeah, Phil did that, it worked for his business, let me do it for myself. So still takes a lot of selling to do when you're coupling with solar. I think the other part though is people say, okay, well, you present the solar plus storage proposal, they get pretty close, and at the end they kick the storage part of it for a large business. They're like, let's just do the solar thing because that makes a ton of sense. And great, now you just sold a large solar, right? It's pretty good.
Right. I see a huge opportunity for farmers and cold storages who are concerned about public safety power shutoffs. I think the economics is a big part of it, but besides the economics, like you indicated, there's an emotional aspect of it. People are a lot more aware that if the power gets shut off and the shelves are empty because of something like COVID-19, what will you do when your refrigerator's food is rotting? I had some really great tuna from a Mexico trip, and it went bad. It was just devastating for me. It was some really awesome tuna, but
you have to go back to Mexico.
Got to go back to Mexico, and certainly these are challenging times, but it's a reminder, and that's kind of the silver lining, that independence and resiliency is key if you're a business or homeowner. My wife was pregnant, and we had 3 days of power outages.
Oh no!
And we have a 2-story house, so we'll be getting our in-phase battery system real soon. So we're excited about that. And so question number 9 is, what do you think the future of energy looks like?
I think the future of energy is distributed. I think that between batteries and other smarter technologies and a ton of solar, it is so much easier for people and groups and churches and other things to take control of their energy future. The big issue is political. It's a simple matter of saying, your solar array produces kilowatt hours. That's great. Right now, you get credited for that. It also produces all sorts of other benefits, grid stabilization, all kinds of wonky things. And you don't get paid for that. When you have your battery, you don't get paid for frequency regulation or any of these kind of other battery grid services you could do. And it's a purely political decision. There's all the technical capacity. If you did on a utility scale, you get paid that way. It's just a simple matter of having utilities and the regulators do something that they haven't done before, which is really empower end users. It's not just empower end users, it's recognize the inherent power that end users have. And so, it's a big fight, because we are upsetting norms. We are challenging great monopolies. We're saying, hey, you're not the only person who could do this stuff. Like, Les could have this in his house. Les is going to get his end-phase system. He could have it in his house, and he could provide a service. Now Les is at a table along with PG&E and everybody else. And PG&E is going to be like, no, you get out of here. We want to be the only game in town. And that's a big part of why we, as CALSSA, exist, is to make sure that to change those fundamentals, to make it so that's possible. Because there's a ton of great installers out here, a ton of talented sales and marketing people out here, but there's so much like math and policy and regulatory fights that goes into what that proposal can even say. You're gonna get your costs down as much as you can. You're gonna provide the best service you can. But what you can fundamentally offer, like the tools in your tool belt, are fundamentally limited by the policy situation. And so that's what we're working to fix, so that you have a ton more tools, so you can make a ton more sales.
Absolutely. I think there's huge room for utilities that are innovative to work with the consumer to distribute those resources, much like news about Southern Cal Edison and Sunrun's partnership with guidance from organizations like SEPA. It's really inspiring to see progress and innovation, though it's disruptive if these companies don't go along, then they won't get along, and we'll see kind of a bear be poked if they don't. So I encourage utility companies to keep innovating and to working with organizations like yours. So on question number 10, before I let you go, we always like to ask, in these trying times, do you have a favorite quote or something uplifting you can share before we let you get back to work?
I don't have it committed to memory, so I only know the gist of it, but I think it's a Teddy Roosevelt quote about the person in the arena, basically saying that it's like all the glory, all the support goes to the person in the arena. I think in trying times, it's really easy to be like, that person should have done it differently, or, oh, they messed that up and they could have done it. And it's like, well, you're not them. You weren't the person doing it. And it's something that I try to remind myself. I used to do commercial solar sales. It was extremely hard. You have like 4 sales you need to make in the entire year. Like, that's your life. And it's, easy when you're looking at the graphs about what's happening with commercial sales and say, I don't know what these guys are doing. It's like, you know what? No, they're the ones doing this. And I think it's important for us all to kind of remember that things are complicated. You have to trust the people on the ground, whether that's, you're saying, hey, I don't get what's happening with this policy thing, with the utilities lighting all these fires, like how could we be losing net metering to them? That's a great question. Give me a call. Let's talk about that. Or if me saying like, I don't know what's happening in why is Santa Rosa doing so great in battery sales? Like, is Les not doing great in batteries? Maybe Les doesn't know. It's like, no, like, your stuff. And I like just kind of remembering to trust the people who are most local.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's great advice. I think that there should be no shame in admitting when you could use someone else's expertise, and we all are better off by working together. And it's neat that an organization like CALSSA brings us in the industry together, kind of helps represent and stand up for our industry, but also the consumer who emotionally, we talked earlier about the impact that jobs have in the industry, but also we got to think, the state has to think about the impact that it's making on the lives of people who declare energy independence and have power in their hands. It's a financial impact that's really immeasurable, but more so on the emotional side, the freedom that you feel from independence and the greatness that the impact that it makes on society really is immeasurable. And energy is a foundation of our society. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing over there at CALSSA. We will be joining CALSSA. Thank you for your time. Thank
Great.
you. Yes, absolutely. And I encourage everybody that's watching, if you're not a member of CALSSA and you're in California, definitely give Carter Lavin a call. And again, can you remind them where they can find you?
Yeah, calssa.org, calssa.org. Our phone number's right there. Give me a call. Let's chat.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again, Carter.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you on board.
All right. So that's it for today for the Energy Independence Show. The revolution is here. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to like, comment, share, and follow, and we will see you soon.